Good day to all, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. We invite you to come, if you're in our area, to worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. Service begins. There's parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. And we invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. If you're not in our area, you can tune in for the Sunday sermon on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope, which goes live at 10:45 a.m. And we, of course, are here with you Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji Water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you who have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube to support the broadcast, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So, I want to remind everyone, we are Facebook Live. We are YouTube Live. Our YouTube channel is for 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, is just that. It is Daily Divine Direction. You can find us on our YouTube channel at Daily Divine Direction every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then we want to stay connected with you throughout the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, through our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, where you can reach us at WKAPfaith.com. We play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And so I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are concerned that your sister is sabotaging her life. You said every time she starts to get ahead, she wants to quit her job and start traveling. She wants to hang out with her friends. She wants to do all of the things that she wants to do, and then she'll return to looking for a position in her career. The problem with that is that during those intervals, it's disrupting the quality of her life. Now, here's the reality. You're concerned about that also because during those times of disruptions, you find it necessary to lend some support. And so you're struggling with that because not only is it disrupting her financial stability, but it disrupts the things you want to do with your own finances. So you want to know, how do you get her to focus on her career and not on sabotaging herself? So let me say this to you. The easiest way to deal with that is when she makes a decision. First, you have the conversation with her, and I know you've already had this conversation with her because you've shared this. So in your communication, so you've talked to her about not sabotaging her life. Not doing things that are going to cause her to be released from her position or just resigning from her position. Now, I talked about this in I guess a couple of sermons ago, I think it was. One of the things I said is that millennials think differently than our generation. Now, you're not much more than a millennial, but you are not a millennial. Your sister is at the back end of being a millennial. The problem is that millennials think differently than we do, than our generation. And what I mean by that is that we were taught that you never leave a job until you have another job to go to. So you start looking. If you're not satisfied where you are, if you're not content with the direction of your career where you are, you start looking long before you ever resign. And you make sure that you've gone through all the necessary steps to determine if there's a better position or a better fit for you. And then we would hand in our resignation, give notice, and then when the appropriate time came, we'd move on. Millennials don't think that way. They just think, I'll get another job when I'm ready. And so consequently, that's why she just resigns and takes time off. The problem is she has saved some money. She has a little bit of money that is stored up. So in her mind, I can quit, do what I want to do, and then find another job. You are absolutely correct. She's sabotaging her own success. There's no reason. Look, if everywhere she goes, there's a problem. Every job that she's gone to, there's a problem. The problem is not everyone else. The only common denominator is your sister. She's the only one that's in the same place at all times. So that's the first issue. The second issue is that, so she doesn't think that way. She just thinks about what she's feeling at the moment and responds to that accordingly. You're right, that's sabotage, because eventually she's going to spend the money that she has during the time that she's off, and then she's going to come to you when she needs help. So the problem with that is it's disrupting your financial stability also. You just have to say no. You just have to tell her, no, I'm not going to do it. And when you cut her off, for lack of a better term, of assisting her, you explain to her, we've had this conversation. I told you not to quit your job, but you quit anyway. Then you took a couple of months off and you hung out with your friends and did some traveling. Now you have no money left and you expect me to pick up the deficiency, to make up the deficiency. Tell her no. Because you can't allow what she's doing to disrupt your financial stability just because she's sabotaging her life along the way. And the problem with that, and now this is for all of our listeners and viewers, we have to be very careful about sabotaging our success. Whether it is, making a decision to leave and go someplace else when you don't have another position, or whether it is spending your money and then you don't have any money in reserve. There's a lot of little things we do to sabotage our success. It's the little things we do, you know. And I can go all the way back to when you have an assigned responsibility in your career, just simply not doing your job. That's a method of self-sabotage. I'm not going to do my job because there's other things I want to do, or because I'm not going to focus on it, and eventually they're going to release you. We've got to do things differently. We've got to go about things in a much better way. And so, as you know, I'm constantly talking about maximizing our success and experiencing the fullness of God. So I want to share what that looks like also, and for a moment. And what I mean by that is you can have success in your career. You can be promoted. You can, be thriving in your career. However, you still may not have maximized your success. You still may not be at the pinnacle of your success. And part of that is being healthy in our body, mind, and spirit, and then having continuous goals of excellence in our career. That's the litmus test for getting to the place where we maximize our success. So first we become successful. When we maximize our success, we then begin to experience the fullness of God. We've got to make certain that we're working towards that goal every single day. We've got to make certain that we're not doing anything that's going to disrupt our success, that's going to interfere with our progress. We've got to be mindful about that, and we have to be intentional about that. So, with regard to your sister, I'm going to say this to you. You're just going to have to tell her no. When she starts talking to you about making changes in her life, you're going to have to tell her, in advance, I'm not going to be able to help you. I'm not going to be able to help you. And so therefore, you need to be very careful about disrupting your quality of life, about disrupting your success, about sabotaging yourself. You've got to be real direct about that. Because otherwise she's going to keep doing the same things, and you both are going to keep getting the same result. Her sabotage is going to disrupt the quality of her life, and then it's going to have an impact on your financial stability also. You're going to have to stop the madness. And the way to do that is just simply tell her, no, I'm not going to be in a position to help you. And it's my prayer that she will grab hold of that and do things much differently. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So I want to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you were in a relationship with someone who was very good to you. However, you say in your communication you wanted more. And now the relationship has come to an end, and you realize it was better than any relationship you ever had. So you wanted more from him in the relationship. He was good to you. But you felt like it wasn't enough. And let me tell you the problem. The problem is you listen to family and friends. You listen to people in your family saying how much their spouse or significant other was doing for them. Your girlfriends are telling you how amazing their man is. And yet you had a good man. You had someone who was good to you. But he wasn't extravagantly good to you. He just showed you what it was to be treated like a lady. You wanted the extravagance that others were talking about. And yet, if you look around at your family members who were having those conversations with you, and your friends who were having those conversations with you, they're either divorced or single women. So you felt like that was the way to be single because that's what they're all doing. And that's what they're all saying. But you realize now that was the best relationship you ever had. And here's the takeaway. The next time, because you won't get that one back. You can't go back and undo what's already been done. When a man feels, let me rephrase that. When you make a man feel inadequate, he's not going to go back. He's not going to come back. Because eventually what happens is he begins to feel that nothing he does is ever enough for you. And when a man gets to the point where he feels nothing he does is ever enough, 99% of men will shut down. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule, but that's not the rule. Because as men, we need to feel that you know that we're doing our very best. So this is a learning experience. You've now, the relationship has ended. The question now becomes, what do you do with your next relationship? How do you look through the eyes of God into the next relationship? You know, is he what I mean when I say, is he a good man? Is he a God man? Is he a man that will love you the way God loves us, with the love of God, and then treat you as a lady? And you have to be willing and open to accept that. And what I mean by willing and open to accept it, whatever he does has to be enough. Whatever he does for you should be enough. But however, the problem is you've been listening to women who are divorced in your family, women who are single in your family, and then your single friends. And they're telling you all about this extravagance, you know, that the man in their life is doing. Can I break it down? It's, you know, the extravagance of a man buying a high quality handbag, the extravagance of a man buying jewelry, the extravagance of a man taking them on a trip. At the end of the day, there's no substance and consistency there. There's just a moment of immediate gratification, and then either he moves on or they move on. But they're all alone. They're all still alone. They're all still grappling with, am am I going to be in a relationship? Am I going to get married again? And then you're doing the same, you did the same thing that they're doing, which is nothing that he does or nothing that he did was ever enough. You wanted more. You said that yourself in your communication. You wanted more. But yet it was the best relationship you ever had. Be careful what you ask for. And be careful what you get rid of. Because in the end, that's a man of substance. That's a man of God. For man, and now this is for all of our listeners and viewers. For so long, many women have been treated with such disregard. They've gotten out of relationships that were not healthy for them, that they don't really even know how to be treated well. Because everything a man tries to do for them, they push back. I can do it myself. They may not say that, but they push back and if they push back, it's the same as saying, I can do it myself. I don't need you to do anything for me. That's the old mentality of, for women, I don't need a man. Well, yes you do. And I know I'm going to get some emails about that. Here's the news flash. Man needs a woman. Woman needs a man. That's just the bottom line. Because that's the only way we can get to the fullness of God. Think about this. God, first of all, said it's not good for man to be alone. So he gave Eve to Adam. And the only way that we can be fruitful and multiply is when man and woman come together. So we have to recognize that there's a reason God did everything he did, and he did it decently and in order. And society, and you all hear me say this often about society has taught us a lot of things that were not good for us. Because the old adage of, and I understand that men, we weren't doing our part at one time. We weren't doing our part. And women got into the I don't need a man mode. And so they began to live life alone. Still dating, still hanging out, still enjoying the company of men, but not working to build a great quality of life together. Because it was much easier to just say, I can do it myself and I don't need you to do it. And that goes as simple as men opening doors for women. That's as simple as us doing the little things that are going to make the life of the woman, the wife, or the significant other in our lives a little more comfortable. But they don't have to be extravagant things. They can just be very simple things, day-to-day things that will allow us to be in a place of love and create a bond that cannot be broken. Now you have to say to yourself, now that the relationship has come to an end, what are you going to do in the next relationship? How are you going to approach the next relationship? Make this a learning experience. It's not the end, but it's the end of that relationship and the beginning of something else. And this time you have to say to yourself, I'm going to do things differently. I'm not going to listen to the people that I've been listening to because that didn't work for me. So you are going to try a different approach in this new relationship. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for one of the finest, and I should say fastest, but I will say high performing automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche that you desire to own and drive. And if you're in our area, you can contact PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone that you're taking care of, that someone presents to you the vehicle that you may desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, and you're just in need of service, contact Porsche Delaware. Mike Didio is the General Manager. Mike Adams is the service manager, both Michaels. And if you ask to speak to Mike Adams, he will make certain that an appointment is scheduled to you. They will pick up your vehicle for your annual service at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle for you, and return your vehicle to you once the service has been completed. And this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything you could possibly need, home goods, clothing for men, They have everything a man could possibly need, shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com, and also The White Company, located in London, the UK, and they also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York where they have everything that you could possibly need, home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. So I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you feel as though history continues repeating itself within your family. Your parents got divorced, you got divorced, and you said now your daughter is getting a divorce. And you want to know, how do you break that cycle? So let me tell you what you've identified from a spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, what you have identified is what is commonly known as a generational curse. And in order to break a generational curse, or as you said, break the cycle, you have to identify what it is that you all have been doing that has ended in the same result. So you indicated that your parents got divorced, that you are a child of divorce, and then you got divorced. You know, there was a time, and I'll say this, there was a time when people got married and divorce was not an option. They just worked out whatever the problems might be. The problem was that's not always the healthy thing, because we understand now that sometimes we pick people who God didn't appoint for our lives. If anything that impacts your health in a negative way, you have to address. So, divorce happens. Let's clarify that. But when it starts continuing to happen in your family, it's because of what is being seen, what the representation is. And that is, if I don't like the way things are going, I can opt out. If I don't like the way the marriage is going, I can opt out. That's the premise for divorce in many cases. But we got to understand that's not what God intended. And so in order to break that cycle, so you ask, how do you break that cycle? You break that cycle by doing things differently and not getting into a relationship or a marriage that God hasn't not ordained. Meaning, if this is not the person that God has appointed for your life, you're not even going to entertain a relationship, and you're certainly not going to get married. And you only know that by doing what I've been recommending to everyone to do in the dating process. So your daughter will get married again, and when she gets married again, she won't get divorced, and that will break that cycle. That's how you break it, is doing something differently than we've done previously. Because if we're doing the same thing that we've always done, we're going to continue getting the same results. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his